I was recently asked to voice my opinion on a TED address by Monica Lewinsky. If you recall, she was the pinnacle of a great scandal in Washington, D.C. some 17 years ago with President Bill Clinton.
I was branded as a tramp, tart, slut, whore, bimbo, and of course, that woman. I was seen by many, but actually known by few.
After watching her address, I had a certain sympathy for the woman and what she had to endure. As she began by saying that not a day would pass when she wasn't reminded of her mistake and regretted it deeply.
Being cruel, unforgiving, uncouth. Listen, deeply, deeply ashamed to the worst version of myself. A self I don't even recognize.
And then she spoke about the gossip, public shaming, and humiliation that she endured, and the lack of public compassion and empathy that was missing. But then ended by saying that she can, and she encourages others who are in similar circumstances, that they can survive public humiliation and shame. I thought a great deal about what she had to say, and I would add to her comments that the principal means of remedying shame is to recognize the wrongdoing that we have committed and ask for forgiveness. The wonderful gift of forgiveness is always in our control. Imagine a world where we frequently say, I am sorry for the offenses we have made. And wouldn't that in turn elicit from others their sorrow? Or consider the world where there is no recognition of error and sin and wrongdoing. We cannot obliterate these by ignoring them, but we certainly can diminish them by asking the forgiveness of others. After all, that is the core of our pleading with God our Father in the Our Father. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. The other consideration is there is really a very positive aspect to shame. It's the exercise of our conscience. And if it wasn't there, perhaps there would be many things we would be tempted to commit and do without that sensitivity of how it would affect another person. Imagine a world where there were nobody who had any shame, that we lived in a world of merely shameless people, the agony we would have to endure. So shame and conscience are the protectors of our integrity. The other aspect I thought about concerning Monica Lewinsky's address to the world, to the public, what an embarrassing moment for her then, but she wanted to put that behind her, and I commend her for that, is that it cannot be achieved in pride. The humiliation she spoke about, I recall Mother Teresa spoke about it, and she said, if you want to be humble, accept humiliations. And after all, who would deride a truly humble person? It certainly would diminish whatever fault they would have that would be the cause of some scandal and some shame. But let us consider the circumstances of what Monica Lewinsky was relating.
The public humiliation was excruciating. Life was almost unbearable.
And in fact, it was a very serious affront. And it wasn't just simply to the two involved, that the President and Monica Lewinsky. And if we consider this in the work that we do and the consequences of what we do, perhaps we would have second thoughts about whatever injuries we would bring to others. And the fact is, their affair injured 4 other people. The wife of the President and his daughter. And as Monica Lewinsky related, her mother and her father suffered what she suffered. Were we to consider all of these aspects before making choices, particularly if they're harmful to others, I would imagine a world with less shame. And yet shame does play a very positive role in our lives. As I said, without it, what would we be deterred from doing that would be wrong? I recall too the passage in the Gospel where Jesus has brought a shameful woman that he was asked to participate in her judgment. And these rulers of Jerusalem said that a woman who caught in adultery, as this woman was, should be stoned to death. And Jesus' response was, "Let the one who is sinless be the first one to cast a stone." And immediately they all left, one by one by one. And there they were in the plaza, all alone, Jesus and this woman who was caught in adultery. Now Jesus did not excuse her. And he did not, at that point, forgive her. And it's very interesting what Jesus had told the woman there caught in adultery. He asked, "Where are your accusers?" And she said, "Lord, they're no longer here." And then he said, "Well, I will not accuse you." But then he added, "Go and sin no more." We may ask, well, why the delay in his judgment? And I think St. Peter, who had the same experience of shame when he denied Christ, told us that if we want our salvation, we have to be patient, because God is patient, and he waits for a time of our repentance. So the lesson we should walk away from listening to Monica Lewinsky, and truly the suffering that she had, we should increase our habit of forgiving other people, and in turn they will forgive us. In a sense, it's a matter of playing forward what Jesus Christ achieved, the forgiveness of mankind, and recall what he said. In the circumstances, suffering under the cruelest government at the time, the great Roman Empire. Perhaps you don't know it, but they exercised their power in fear. And the fear was seen entering any of the towns that they controlled, any of the cities they controlled. And they would be the offenders of the law, Roman law, there strung up on beams, writhing in their agony for all to see, a warning. And yet, at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and soon following, the crucifixion of a sinless man who said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And soon following that, the great scourge of the crucifixions in the world were eliminated. And I think we can play all of that forward in our own forgiveness to others who offend us, and in turn pray that they will forgive not only us, but forgive themselves for their own sins.